did the eye test on him, said they don't know how he ever hit the 30 homers. His vision was so far off, and apparently he's wearing contacts this year. So watch out.
Well,
he broke the American League record in strikeouts.
Good place for a 2-strike pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Bobby Bonds holds the all-time record.
Think anybody will ever catch Bobby?
I don't know. I'm just taking a look here. I think it was close to 200 times they struck out.
Oh, what a pitch. Changed on the breaking ball, and Boddicker notches strikeout number 2. Don't feel too bad about it, Incavilla. That pitch is awfully hard to hit. Look at this. Do you know the years ago they used to say a curveball was an optical illusion? It didn't really break.
Check that one out. Right?
We'll take a look at that one, right?
Great line on Incavilla this spring. Somebody said, what do Michael Jackson and Pete Incavilla have in common? Both wear one glove for no apparent reason, right? Making his living with the bat.
This is Ruben Sierra.
Out of the ground ball to Burleson in the 2nd inning. It's a 1-1 tie, the Orioles and the Rangers, and this is the top of the 4th. Boddicker against Charlie Huff. If you just walked in, turned the set on. We're awfully glad that you're spending some time with us. And Brooks and I really miss a couple of Oriole people who have contributed so much to the success of this franchise down through the years. Unfortunately, both are confined to the hospital. Both are mending and coming along. But Jack Dunn, this will be the first Oriole opener he's missed since World War II. And Helen Conkling, who is not a secretary, she is the right hand of PR Director Bob Brown. Just a magnificent lady, is recuperating and doing very well at Union Memorial Hospital. We miss them.
Well, we miss them, Chuck, and also Mrs. Ralph DiCirio, right, who's recuperating, and we want to say hello to her and wish her a speedy recovery, and hope to see her here at the park one night with her husband.
3-2 to Ruben Sierra.
Boddicker gave up an opening game home run, and then he gave up a single to Fletcher, but since that time he's settled down and has given up no hits in 2 and almost 3 innings now.
The only base runner. He walked Jerry Brown with 1 out in the 3rd inning after the single by Scott Fletcher in the opening inning. Two pitch is due. Matter of fact, he went to 3 balls, 2 strikes to Sierra in the 2nd inning. The inning is over. What a dandy pitch. At the end of 3 1/2, Orioles 1, Rangers 1. Hey, Brooks, this season in every televised Oriole game, we're going to be doing a Ronald McDonald House inning. Now, here's the way it works. For every run scored by the Orioles in the designated Ronald McDonald House inning, a donation of $100 per run will be made to the Baltimore Ronald McDonald House, courtesy of the Greater Baltimore Area McDonald's and WMAR-TV. What a great idea. And we'll not know what the inning is until later on the telecast. Cal Ripken out on a comebacker to the mound in the opening inning.
This is one of the ball clubs that he has really had a lot of success against. .335 lifetime against the Texas Rangers. Eddie Murray on deck, 1-1. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Orioles 1 hit. That's some nasty knuckleballs right there.
Cal doesn't look like he's cutting down on the swing much either, does he?
I would say no.
You're right.
That's the old Woody Held theory. Swing hard just in case you happen to hit the ball. Here's Fletcher from shortstop, and he's got ripped for the first out on the bottom of the 4th of a 1-1 tie. Eddie Murray out at a towering pop foul to the first baseman O'Brien, and I'll tell you, they say this is a game of inches, Brooks, and a pop-up that Murray hit that O'Brien caught in foul ground was just, that much from maybe coming down in somebody's pocket on the right field seat.
Well, that's right. It was interesting to see what Huff would do to him when he got behind, but he challenged him right with a fastball, and I think Eddie was even surprised because he had a great swing at it, but just popped it right up the chute to O'Brien.
Well, it's just so difficult to visualize what that knuckleball can and will do. Some of them will drop straight down. Some will sail right or left and drop down. Some of them jump up. And Brooks says that, yes, Huff does have a bit of an idea which way the ball's going to go.
I tell you something else that Huff also helps himself, Chuck. He's a pretty good fielder. Plus, he's got a very good move to first. In fact, would you believe that he's working on a throw to first where he flips it between his legs?
I'd like to see that one.
Yeah, right. I would too.
Well, he might give
First
it to us
time he
today.
does that, somebody's going to holler, "Balk!"
You got to be careful with that one.
Right.
Oh.
Now the one-strike pitch to Murray. He'll be followed by Fred Lynn, who kind of touched off a little bit of Oriole magic here in the second inning. Cal Ripken style of Oriole magic. Cal is not going to sit and wait for the 3-run home run. He loves them, but he figures you got to manufacture a few runs on your own. He used to say a fastball thrown down would sink, fastball thrown up would rise. It is not always the case with a knuckleball. You sometimes throw a knuckleball up and it'll sink. Sometimes it'll jump a little.
Fletcher really pulled over on him to the right of second.
Yeah. You've got one man between third base and second base against the 70-mile-an-hour knuckleball of Charlie Huff. They figure that everything that Eddie hits, if and when he hits it, will be pulled to the first base or right field side.
Well, they do have a coach sitting up here in the press box, and he's in contact with someone in the dugout, in the Texas dugout, who's wearing a headset, and they move the outfilders. They have a chart that shows where Eddie Murray hits the ball the most, and he moves it.
What's the chart say about that?
Fair.
Foul ball. That's what it says.
About 15 or 20 feet foul, but it was no doubt about it that it was stayed fair.
I don't care where you sit. There's no defense for the home run.
That's exactly right. But they are shading him to pull with Fletcher on the second base side of shortstop on the second base side. O.D.B. McDowell swung around in right field.
If Eddie swings late, Incaviglia going to have a busy afternoon. And that kind of a pitch he could. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
There's the fellow with the headset, and he's in communication with someone up here in the press box. And they move the outfielders around to the position where they think Murray's going to hit the ball.
I believe that's Joe Ferguson, former Dodger catcher down there. Another one of the Dodger touches. Notice that those uniforms starting to look more like the Dodgers each year. The Rangers, Bobby Valentine's touch.
True. Very true. Another foul ball, but another torrid kind of a blast.
It was written in the offseason that perhaps with Al Campanis getting up in years that he might be stepping down from the front office of the Dodgers. Speculated that Tommy Lasorda might move up into that position, and Bobby Valentine would be one of the leading candidates for the Dodger job.
Bobby Valentine, the manager of the Dodgers, was a great-looking prospect, and he ended up breaking his leg terribly, and that just ended his career right there.
Right through the overshift, a base hit into right field that would do credit to Ted Williams. That's the way they played Williams years ago. And they tried to get Williams to hit the other way, and Williams just kept ripping it right through that first base side.
That was a line shot. That's a second hit for the Orioles today, right up the middle into center field. Murray's at first base, and Fred Lynn, who doubled the first time up.
Eddie was right on that pitch.
Eddie had a good spring. I think he put together a 13-game hit streak, and he didn't hit a lot of homers. I think he only had 1, but he was swinging the bat well in Florida this year.
Not to make excuses for a player such as Eddie Murray. It would be insulting to his professionalism to do so, but he did have some nagging injuries last year, and I think he just tried to play with them and tried maybe to do a little bit too much to pick the club up off the floor. As a result, he did not do as good as Eddie Murray thinks he can do, and we think he can do better too.
Well, his game did suffer offensively and defensively last year, so he's looking to bounce back, and I feel that there's no doubt about it that he will if he stays healthy.
Just stay healthy. That's the name of the game. Fred Lynn, he doubled on a drive into the right field corner. Here's the second baseman. They've got the front end of it, and Eddie Murray breaks up the double play. That's the way Cal Ripken wants the game played.
And they love it here. They're giving him a standing ovation.
He'll get a heck of an ovation for breaking up that double play.
He got a piece of Fletcher.
They're up on their feet behind the Oriole dugout. This is what they want to see from the Orioles.
Well, the story is that Murray never gets his uniform dirty, and that's what they're yelling about. Here you see Brown. He's got a long throw to make, but he fires it. Good play. You'll see Murray go in there right after Fletcher. They love it.
And if you don't go in on that play, Brooks, you might be digging one out of the back of your head, too, right?
That's true. Now Ray Knight with a runner, Fred Lynn at first base, 2 down, a 1-1 tie. We're in the bottom of the 4th. 0 for 1 today. He struck out, reached on a pass ball, and Lynn, who had doubled with 1 out, stole third, and when Knight struck out and the ball got by the catcher, Lynn came home. So that's what you call manufacturing a run. Lynn attracts another throw.
I think the Tyler boys might need a little extra laundry detergent this year, Chuck.
I think you'll find that to be the case. It may not be a better team, but it will make a much better effort.
I'd settle for a wild pitch right here to get him a second base.
Well, Montreal leading Cincinnati 5-1 in the top of the 3rd inning in Cincinnati. San Diego and the Giants start when? 4:05, I guess. Here it's the Rangers 1, the Orioles 1, bottom of the 4th. There are a lot of things that have happened so far in this game that I hope those of you watching on television will find encouraging signs. The word I talked about before the telecast was attitude. That's the attitude that Eddie Murray has toward this game. That attitude is stimulated. Murray has always had it, but it's been stimulated a good deal more with Cal Ripken Sr. as manager. 2-0. 2-1 now.
Another new thing you fans can look for this year is different faces in the coaching boxes. We got the king of swing, Terry Crowley, down on first this year, and my old pally whistling Jimmy Williams, waving him in from third. There's
That's Terry Crowley. Incidentally, his son, a heck of a good young prospect, was down in Bluefield in the rookie league last year and hit better than anybody that's been in that league coming directly out of high school. So he's a chip off the old block, and he stole quite a few bases. And here's Jimmy Williams, a great Jazz fan. And a heck of he came up in the Brooklyn Dodgers system of baseball. He's a third base coach.
He's no stranger to third base. He was a third base coach for the Astros a few years back.
And he managed the Dodgers AAA club when I was in Albuquerque. And, of course, the managers coached third base then. So he's at home.
2-1 offering to the waiting Ray Knight. No, Lynn attracts yet another throw.
Huff has a very quick move, but the thing he does best, he mixes his throws up over there. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow. Quick delivery to the plate.
Three balls, 1 strike to Ray Knight.
1-1 game.
Almost looks like a knuckle curve he throws there.
Oh, really? It does. It breaks.
Matter of fact, the fellow that said it really breaks, Scott, Brooks Robinson, warming up on the sideline years ago as a player, had a pretty good knuckler. All the players love to throw that darn thing, and he had a good one.
I couldn't get anybody to warm up with me. I hit a couple of the players on the kneecap, and they said that's it.
3 balls, 1 strike. Keep an eye on Lynn at first base. 2 out in the inning. There goes Lynn. The 3-pitch. It's popped up right behind down the third base side. And now
everyone's looking.
Everybody wants this one. Oh, my goodness. The catcher, Slaught, made the grab for the final out of the inning. At the end of 4, Orioles 1, Rangers 1. Want to take a good look at an Oriole fan? We got one for you right here. Here's the governor, Governor Schaefer, and he really is a baseball fan. He used to sneak out here as the mayor and never tell anybody he was coming, just walk in, sit down, and enjoy the game, and has been that way for a long time. We hope we see more of him this year, but I guess with the new duties, it might be a little more difficult. Okay, the Ranger, top of the 5th inning. Larry Parrish, designated hitter, smoked the line drive into the glove of the... Whoops, there's a base hit into center field off the bat of Larry Parrish. The Rangers' third.
Not waiting around. He is swinging the bat, line drive. Parrish had a knee operation about a year and a half ago and still bothers him. He wears a big brace, as you can see, his left knee there. But he is in there for one reason, and that's to put the wood on the ball, which he did. And this brings up Don Slaught.
Don was out on a ground ball to Ray Knight at third in the first trip to the plate. That occurred back in the 2nd inning. Brooks and I travel around the country. It never ceases to amaze me how many Oriole fans we find just about anywhere we go. Well, WMAR has made it available for most of the Southeast. Here's Ray Knight from third base going to second. That's one. Now to first. Hot dog, they got another DP. Oh, Mr. Knight, welcome to Baltimore.
After 40 errors down there last year, that's a couple of double plays he turned down on third base today.
Well, you see Slaught reaches out, tries to pull this ball just a little and tops it down the third baseline. What Knight does best, he gives it to Burleson with a good throw. A little low, but Burleson's there, and he flips it underarm to first base for the DP. 5-4-3.
And Burleson held his ground at second, too. He was taken out on the play.
I'll tell you, he'll be there. He'll be there until he gets rid of the ball and makes a reasonable effort to make it a good throw. Ball one to Steve Buechele. Most of the southeastern seaboard will be able to see Oriole games this year. And we're very happy that so many of them have seen fit to be a part of the Oriole family again this year. The Oriole network consists of 13 stations. Now, this may surprise you. That's the largest network of any American League team. And some of the stations who are with us today, right at the top of the list, WDCA-TV in Washington, D.C. And we also have WRLH in Richmond, WTVZ in Norfolk, Virginia, WBOC in Salisbury, WLFL in Raleigh, North Carolina, and up in York, Pennsylvania, WPMT. Left fielder Gerhardt waiting. At the end of 4.5, it continues. The Rangers won, the Orioles won. Leading off for the Orioles, last half of the 5th inning, 1-1 tie, Terry Kennedy. He'll be followed by John Shelby and Ken Gerhardt. Another Oriole fan of long standing. Ball one to Kennedy. A fellow that's a very familiar sight around the ballpark. Missing today because he's preparing for surgery at Union Memorial's Ernie Salamone, and we miss seeing him around. We hope that hip surgery will go the way it's supposed to go, and Ernie will be much the better for it. Right fielder Ruben Sierra. One gone. Had a visit here in the booth today from Trooper Ober of the Maryland State Police, and made presentations to Scott, to Brooks, and myself. And I'm kind of happy and proud to say that the Maryland State Police provided the color guard today for the playing of the national anthem, and they were great-looking people. John Shelby, fly to right in the 2nd inning.
T-Bone trying to get off to a good start. Did not hit well in Florida.
Don't hang your head, T-Bone. That devil's awfully hard to hit. 1 ball, 1 strike to John. 1 out. Popped him up. Here is the catcher. Don Slaught gives way to the third baseman. And Buechele makes it.
Got a real pitcher zoo going here.
They handled that one a little better, Brooks, than they did that last pop-up.
They sure did.
I would say, too.
Buechele was playing very deep the last time. This time he was shortened up a little on Shelby, so he was a little closer to the ball and ended up making the play. And that brings up Ken Gerhardt, who struck out the last time up.
He's a fella who could break a 1-1 tie with any swing of the bat. Ken has good power.
He is going to have some adjustments to make, Chuck. There's no doubt in my mind that the...
What a great play from Buechele to take a double away from Gerhardt. At the end of 5 complete, Orioles won and the Rangers won. We are are now ready to go to the Ranger half of the 6th inning, and Jerry Brown, second baseman, lead off. Mike Boddicker, over the last 4 innings, has allowed the Rangers 1 base hit, has given up a walk, struck out 3. Gave up the home run to Oddibe McDowell leading off in the 1st inning, and has just been, like Boddicker, the rest of the way. Ball 1 to Brown.
Jerry Brown won the second base position by default more than anything else. Jeff Kunkel was having an outstanding year for the Texas Rangers. They put him in the outfield. 1 game, would you believe, he dove for a ball and separated his shoulder. But he was having an outstanding spring for the Rangers, and Brown got the nod. There's a shot to Burlington. It wasn't a shot, it was just a routine ground ball, right?
Get it right, will you, Brooks?
Get my glasses on here.
You know, I think we've got a good omen here today. President Reagan hasn't shown up, and I hope he's having a fine day somewhere, but a lot of Oriole fans are glad it's not here. I think, what are they, 0-4 in presidential games? 0-3 under President Reagan when he's come up to throw out the first ball. And I think Jimmy Carter threw in a lot as far as
Here's Oddibe, the home run hitter of the 1st inning, and he went out unassisted to Eddie Murray in the 3rd and takes a quick strike here in the 6th inning.
That's a good spot right there. A fastball down and in, unhittable.
Down and in, and then he pitches him away.
Yeah,
Oddibe is in the hole 0-2 and doesn't think too much of that fluid strike zone.
No, he didn't. He did not like that call. You could tell the way he backed out of the box, gave the umpire a look. Now he gets back in. 2 strikes, no balls, 1 away.
See what Boddicker does with this 2-strike pitch. At Eddie Murray, broken bat.
Yeah, Mike started to break to the right side, but the bat was flying at him. He had to slow down, so that was Eddie's play all the way. Look at Mike and Ray Knight. He said, which one were you going to catch?
I got news. Boddicker's given Oddibe McDowell something to think about since that home run in the 1st inning. With 2 down and nobody on in the Ranger half of the 6th, Scott Fletcher singled in the 2nd inning, line to the right fielder in the 3rd inning. Both of his trips to the plate have seen him hit the ball to that right field, and center fielder Fred Lynn favors the gap toward right center against the right-handed swings of Scott. And the infield is maybe a little bit to the first base side, not very much. That's the way they play this Ranger shortstop, and he gets a quick strike.
Now, they pitched him away both times, and he hit the ball well to
right field.
Right field. Lynn swung around towards right field. This fellow was one of the main reasons. There's a shot of Bobby Valentine.
Boddicker, do credit to any third baseman around with that kind of a grab. And it's 3 up and 3 down again at the end of 5 1/2. Orioles 1 and the Rangers 1. Here is Alan Wiggins, and this is Allen's 3rd trip to the plate. He has bounced to the mound and gone out unassisted to the first baseman O'Brien. The 1-0 pitch, ball 2. You know, we talk about the manner in which Wiggins hit, and hit so well in spring training. He did not ping the ball around. He hit the ball very solidly. 2-0. Ball 3.
Well, he told us in spring training that he went on a weight training program this past winter and put on 15 pounds.
Boy, I'll tell you.
And after watching him in the spring,
you could fool me if he put on 15.
Yeah.
He had his tonsils pulled and apparently recovered from that and gained a lot of strength.
There's the strike, and he was just taking it all away. 3 balls, 1 strike to Allen.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see him take another one, Chuck. He is the kind of hitter who is not afraid to take a strike, and that's what you have to have when you're a leadoff hitter. Your job is to get on base, set the tables for the big hitters.
Well, there have been a few ropes hit right into the gloves of both the Orioles and the Rangers this afternoon.
Right on it. Line drive to Pete O'Brien at first base.
You get behind Wiggins 3-0. That's like pitching out of a double because, you know, a walk and a stolen base. And he's sitting down there in scoring position.
Batter right now will be Rick Burleson. Has fly to left, grounded to the second baseman. Couple of pretty good right hand. Whoa, foul ball. He had it all cranked up, Brooks. He was going for the downs.
Well, it's only 309. You can wrap it right around that pole. You don't have to hit it a long way.
Strike one to Burleson.
Burleson's used to shooting for that left field wall in Fenway Park. He is a battler, I'll tell you that.
He's not going to make his living hitting home runs, but he hit a couple down in Miami. He can put it out if you make a mistake.
If we could get that wind from Florida up here to Baltimore, his chances would be greatly improved,
Yeah,
Scott.
it was a breezy spring, wasn't it, Chuck?
Yes, it was. Another foul ball.
Cal Sr. was telling us down there late in camp that he had never seen a wind like this spring. It just seemed to blow every day. He said we've had 2-3 days at a time in the past, but it seemed like the wind was howling almost all spring down there.
He thinks the wind was blowing at the ballpark. He should have been in a couple of golf courses with me. Oh, Jeep dirt did it blow. 2 strikes to count to Burleson. 1 out, nobody on. Popped him up, and the third baseman.
Change.
Bouchel. 2 down in the Oriole half of the 6th inning, and the batter now Cal Ripken, who's bounced to the mound and rolled to the shortstop.
Got an update, Chuck, on that game out in Toronto. 7-3 Toronto. They're in the 8th. Corey Snyder just hit a home run for Cleveland.
They got Eichhorn in there too now, the reliever.
He had a great year last year for Toronto. Also 1-1 Yankees in Detroit. They're in the 6th inning.
Well, that's kind of a ball game we've got right here in the 6th inning. The Orioles a run on 2 hits. The Rangers a run on 3. And the knuckleballing Huff to Ripken.
This opening day, I think, has been better than a lot of them for the players. If you're a player, you hate for the wind to blow. It blows the dust. That's one thing. The other thing, with the overcast, you can see the ball better than you can in the bright sunlight in day games. So the players are happy for those 2 reasons.
Looks like that 70's down to about 45 or 50, Brooks. The out he got Burleson with, and that pitch right there to Ripken really took something off.
2-0 to Ripken. At the shortstop, perfectly positioned is Fletcher. And the Orioles 3 up, 3 down. At the end of 6, Orioles won, the Rangers won. We're ready for the Rangers 7th, and the leadoff batsman, the Ranger first baseman. This is Pete O'Brien. He'll be followed by another Pete Incaviglia, and then Ruben Sierra against Mike Boddicker, who is working on a 3-hitter. One of those a home run by leadoff batter Ronald McDonald in the opening inning.
Well, I can only tell you that this player scares me more than anyone in the lineup against Boddicker. Anyone in the Texas lineup.
Center field, and Fred Lynn is tracking it without too much difficulty. 1 gone. Now the left fielder Incaviglia hit into a double play in the first inning. As a matter of fact, the Orioles have turned 2 double plays today. Interestingly enough, both of those double plays have been started by the third baseman, one of the real sore spots for the Orioles of a year ago. That's one of the things that really, all of the pitchers were inconvenienced by it last year. Ripken from shortstop. That's Incaviglia. 2 down. A lot of times in that dismal 86 season, Oriole pitchers made reasonable pitches in tough situations when the double play could have gotten them out of the inning, and it never developed. Either somebody didn't pick up the ground ball, or they made a bad throw, or they didn't make a good turn at second base.
I think by this time last year, Chuck, the Orioles had played about 3 people at that position.
Yep, it seemed that way. Here is a heck of a young star for the Texas Rangers. This is Ruben Sierra, and against Boddicker has grounded to second and looked at a third strike.
He is the youngest player in the history of the game to hit home runs from both sides of the plate in 1 game. Eddie Murray, 3rd youngest player ever to do that a few years ago. But you gotta like Sierra. Just got a wealth of talent. Now that what he has to do is try to sort it all out and know what he can and what he can't do.
Boddicker's 1-1. Breaking ball. 2 balls, 1 strike.
1-1 game.
Pitchers completely in command this afternoon. For the Orioles, the fellow you're looking at, Mike Boddicker. And for the Rangers, the knuckleballing Charlie Huff. You'd have to say, without fear of contradiction today, that the pitchers are well ahead of the hitters. Boddicker throwing a 3-hitter, Huff a 2-hitter.
I will say the infielders have been in the right position a few times because there has been some shots hit.
Well, yes, from both sides, as a matter of fact, as we see the skipper and a couple of his lieutenants, Frank Robinson and Mark Wiley, the Oriole pitching coach.
Frank Robinson keeps an eye on the outfielders for the Orioles, moves them around, shifts them around.
Oh, now that just took a little bit off that pitch and had it in a heck of a good position, and now the count fills 3-2. Sierra's been to the plate 3 times, and each time he's taken Boddicker to the full count. Here's the 3-2. Right at Burleson. And the Roosters got it. Guns him down. 3 up, 3 down. 8 in a row retired by Boddicker. End of 6.5. Orioles 1. Rangers 1.
Baseball is brought to you in part by the Maryland State Lottery, the best games outside the ballpark, and by the Mid-Atlantic Milk Marketing Association. Milk, it's fitness you can drink.
Let's go now to the Oriole half of the 7th inning, and a heck of a good opening day crowd on their feet. And the man at the plate will get a lot of ballparks up on their feet. Oriole first baseman Eddie Murray, 1 for 2 this afternoon. Charlie Huff ready to go. He's retired 8 in a row. And the same is true of Mike Boddicker. He has retired 8 in a row.
Well, it's that time of the game, Chuck, bottom of the 7th. Murray hit 2 long fouls at 15, 20 feet foul. That's popped up.
Center fielder Oda B. McDowell waiting for it. Boy, both of these fellows have pitched so well. They truly have. I'll tell you a point that I kind of overlooked. I mentioned the umpires, and I forgot to say how glad and very happy I am to see them here and working. There was some talk about the possibility of a strike. I'm kind of conscious of the umpires. I think they deserve perhaps to get a little better. I hope the owners and the powers that will make that decision feel the same way about it. I hope they get treated a little bit better.
Well, I think that they probably were convinced that they might get treated a little better or they wouldn't have been here today.
Well, I guess so.
Or the other thing, I think the minor league, I think that if there was a strike, that the minor league umpires would be here and would work, where a year or so ago that would not have happened. But I think that they realized that that's a line drive.
Oop. Looked like O'Brien had it, and it ran up the arm and rolled into right field, and that's an example of what can and will happen on that soggy outfield turf. Now the official scorer will make the decision, hit or error. How would you score it?
I think he's going to give him an error. That's a tough play for O'Brien, a tough error. With a short hop, it looked like he came up with it, with the ball caromed right off of his hip.
Take a look
into
again.
Right field, and Lynn's at first base.
Error.
I think I would.
That's an error. Yeah.
I could have gone either way, to tell you the truth.
Ball was hit hard.
Yep.
Came up with a nice belt-high hop, and it apparently hit the heel of the glove. So with 1 out, Fred Lynn is the tie-breaker at first base, and here now is Ray Knight.
Now, this is a good situation for Ray Knight. I wouldn't be surprised to see a hit and run in this situation.
I think we are going to activate the Texas bullpen for the first time this afternoon. It looks as though we'll have a couple of fellows up and throwing. Another point, Brooks made it while we were out for the commercial. Look at that fellow Charlie Huff. And weather like today, 45 degrees. Look at the arms.
Short sleeve.
Toward the gap in left center, and it's going to drop in. Lynn on his way to third. They're going to hold him at third, and into second base. At first goes Ray Knight. The Orioles have it on the burner.
Ray Knight reached out, hit it off the end, a sinking line drive. It had base hit written on it all the way. There you'll see it right off the end of the bat. Fred Lynn knew it was a base hit, and he scrambled all the way to third base as the outfielders fell down. Very soggy out there. A lot of water in the outfield. Second and third, 1 away. And now they're on the way to the mound to have a chat with Charlie Huff. There you see Knight.
You're going to see that uniform look like that frequently this year.
Now there's Mitch Williams, the left-hander, warming up, and I'm going to have to take a look to see who the right-hander is. 43, I think. Is that what it said?
Not too sure, Brooks.
48.
I can't find a 43.
48.
Anderson.
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 He's a sinker
Okay.
ball, a la by Quisenberry.
You really got to help your outfielders out in this weather today. It's so wet. It's so easy to lose your footing. Here comes Bobby Valentine.
Bobby Valentine on his way. The inning started innocently enough as Eddie Murray hit a fly ball into center field without any difficulty. Then Lynn really ripped a shot to the first base side, and it took kind of a belt-high hop and apparently kicked off the heel of the glove of O'Brien and rolled through into right field, and it was ruled an error. Then Ray Knight handled the bat very well and drilled one in the gap in left center field. Lynn romped to third, and Knight went head first into second.
Charlie Huff was quoted as saying if Bobby Valentine wasn't a baseball manager, he'd probably be 35 years old and heading up some big corporation because he's got endless energy. I think the guy owns 5 restaurants, devotes all his time to baseball, and is just a real go-getter.
Calls him the great organizer.
Yeah, right.
Said he ought to run for president. Well, right now, the Orioles in a 1-1 tie and a heck of an opportunity to break through against Charlie Huff and the Rangers. Now, let's set the defensive in. They're not going to pitch to Kennedy with the bag open at first base. They will play the percentages, load the bases to play for the DP.
Well, they know they're going to have a difficult time doubling up John Shelby. Well, what they're thinking about right now, if he's ever going to go for a strikeout, Shelby is the man he wants to get.
Take a look at the Oriole runners. Third base, it's Lynn. Second base, it's Ray Knight. And shortly, Mr. Kennedy will occupy the bag at first base. No baseball tomorrow, but the Orioles and the Texas Rangers, who were picked by Sports Illustrated to win the American League's Western Division, will be at it again at 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon.
John
right
Shelby
here at the old ball yard
has a chance to be the hero of this ball game right now.
Be a good way to get his confidence going, wouldn't it?
Well,
absolutely. Base hit here would do wonders for John Shelby.
There's Joe Ferguson with the headset on.
He's talking to Dave Oliver up in the mezzanine level here, the scout for the Rangers, who positions the outfielders basically.
Well, the one thing that Huff is thinking about right now is, boy, do I ever need a strikeout badly. You'll have a tough time doubling John Shelby up.
Pick off at second base, the throw made, but Knight he got back to the bag and couldn't make up his mind about tagging up. So wait a minute, I better get that hand.
Didn't know what hand to put on the bag.
Must not have worked on that one on Littlefield.
Ball 1 to Shelby.
The thing that we did see Shelby do this year in spring training, Chuck, I thought he was a little more patient. I saw several situations where he could have swung at bad balls, but he didn't swing at them. He was more patient. So get a good ball to hit here.
Well, I'll say one thing. He had a heck of a swing.
The crowd is into it right now. This is it. We might be here all night if we don't score now.
And you can't win them all if you don't win the first one, right?
Got that right.
And the 1-1 pitch. Well, Charlie Huff and the catcher, Don Slaught, felt that they did not get a strike that they deserved to get.
Good eye by John.
2 balls, 1 strike. Bases loaded, 1 out. Well, 2 balls, 2 strikes now. Shelby may feel a little bit that way.
Well, I think you could say it was a borderline ball, and that was a borderline strike. So it evens up in the long run. Now, if you're a hitter, you got to protect that plate. You can't take a pitch like that. You have to drive that ball somewhere.
Now the 2-2 to Shelby. Nope. 3 balls and 2 strikes with the bases loaded in a 1-1 tie in the bottom of the 7th.
I don't know about you, but my heart's starting to beat. It never used to do that fast.
The Oriole fans are in it here at the stadium, pulling for John Shelby. And here's the payoff pitch. 2 down, and the bases remain loaded.
And I'll tell you one thing. Great pitch by Charlie Huff. 3-2. What did he do? He went to his knuckleball, which is really not his best control pitch, but he got the strikeout. Here he goes.
Is it a strike or is it a ball?
I think it's too close to take.
You better believe it was. It really was, Brooks.
Yep.
John had no choice but to make an effort to hit the ball. Well, here is Gerhardt. He has struck out in the second inning, and then in the fifth inning, he really nailed a Huff pitch, but right into the glove of the leaping third baseman, Buechele. Strike one.
Well, he got a ball on the inside half the last time, and that's the ball he hits best. He lined it right to Buechele. And if you give him something on the inside, he will kill it.
This is Gerhardt's third look at the knuckleballer. 2 strikes. Tell you folks, you're watching a veteran right-hander doing what he does best of all, battle his way through difficult situations. And let me tell you, Huff has made a lot of good pitches.
Well, he has. Now, this situation here, when he gets you 2 strikes and no balls, that's when he throws his best knuckleball. But that knuckleball is prone to get away for a wild pitch sometimes.
Didn't get away that time, and he fans Shelby and Gerhardt with the bases loaded. At the end of 7, it continues. Orioles won, the Rangers won.
Join Scott Garceau and Martin White for all the sports scores and highlights tonight on Channel 2 News immediately after this ball game.
We'll be there, Brooksy.
You bet. You hadn't missed one yet, huh?
No.
A 1-1 tie now heads for the 8th inning. And in that bottom of the 7th inning, with the bases loaded and 1 out, Shelby came up, struck out. Gerhardt came up and struck out. And I think Cal Sr. is going to have a couple of questions to answer about the possibility of a pinch hitter in one of those slots.
Well, that's true. When you have a guy like Dwyer sitting on the bench, I know he's trying to build Shelby's confidence or whatever, but that will be one of the questions he'll have to answer tomorrow.
Today. They'll be in after the game, Brooks.
Well, it seems to me, let's watch Eddie Murray in pursuit of this. I don't know whether he's got a play or not. He's close to the seats. Look out, Ed. Just a little bit of a breeze. Not much, but just enough to keep bumping the ball toward that foul line.
Had the tarp over there, too, Chuck. He was battling that thing.
Larry Parrish hit 28 home runs last year. 17, 22, 26. Had some big years. Hit 30 at Montreal. He was a third baseman for a number of years, but his knee injury slowed him down. He played right field a number of years for Texas, and now he's strictly in the DH role.
Speaking of the strikeouts with the bases loaded, Shelby and Gerhardt, I recall a situation that Oriole fans may remember. George Bamberger was managing the Milwaukee Brewers. Had a fellow named Stormin Gorman, remember? Struck out 4 times one afternoon in very difficult situations. And Mr. Bamberger stayed right with him and put him back in the next day, and he hit a grand slam. It's part of the maturing, part of the growing up process. And I think sometimes you learn a little bit more from adversity than you do from success. 3 balls, 2 strikes now to Parrish. But still, Calvin's going to have to talk to the media people about that situation, I'm sure. Now the 3-2. Base knock. Boy, I'll tell you, you can throw him 1,000,001 breaking balls, and then you try to sneak a fastball by him, and look out.
He has been up 3 times, and he's hit the
He has. 2 base hits and 3
every
trips.
time.
With 2 hits and 3 trips.
And you got a pinch runner coming in for him now, number 33. That happens to be Brower, I believe it is, B-R-O-W-E-R.
That's exactly right.
Who had an outstanding year, not only swinging the bat.
We talked about it earlier. This is a game being dominated by Boddicker and Huff, but it could be decided by Don Ossie and whoever is the closer for the Rangers, because these guys have pitched great, and it might just be one of those things that's decided in the 9th.
If I had to make a guess, the closer for the Rangers would be Charlie Huff.
He might
kind of hard to find somebody in the bullpen that's any better. That's
well,
right.
I'll tell you what, Mitch Williams made 80 appearances last year for this ball club, Chuck. He's a hard-throwing left-hander. Almost.
Hey, no, they didn't.
It's a bad way to come in as a pinch runner, isn't it?
Yes.
You've got some outstanding speed there. Brower stole 53 bases last year for Oklahoma City. There's Don Ossie in the bullpen for the Orioles, getting hot. Slot, good hit and run man.
Whoop, that's hit well. Deep left. Gerhardt will get to it. Near the warning track. One down, and the runner Brower, who probably has some fans in the ballpark this afternoon. He lives in Vienna, Virginia. Here comes Steve Buechele, who struck out in the third and fly to left in the fifth inning. Brower is running for Parrish at first base. Not too long ago, what, two years ago, this fellow was a minor league player of the year in the Texas organization. Look out, no. Bodeker's made some good throws, and Eddie Murray with some very good tags. And Brower has been just a little bit quicker. One out. Brower's been around a little bit. Whoa, that's hit well in the left field corner. It should be off the wall. It is. Gerhardt plays it well into third base. Brower headed for second. Comes the runner, and the runner is going to be safe. Murray backs up. Throw to the plate. Bad throw. He got him. Boy, what a tag Mr. Kennedy made of a throw that got away from Eddie Murray.
That was a great play by Terry Kennedy on a bad throw from Murray to get him at home. I don't know where Brower was going. He rounded third base. Then he saw the ball get away, but he was dead to right before he even started running towards home. Here you see comes the ball's thrown down the line. Kennedy reaches up. Does he get him? If he gets him, he barely gets him, but he got him, and he's out for the second out.
Whew.
They're going to have a
Take a look at the play again. Watch Gerhardt play the carom.
The ball looks like it skips right through Burleson's
right through Burleson is right.
And Murray's there to back him up.
Eddie's throw was just a bad throw, and Kennedy saved the throw and yet made the tag.
Well, it sure will. I tell you what, catchers get hurt that way. That was a hospital throw, and he turned it into an out.
Petrelli is going to be the pinch batter for the Rangers. And we're going to pause 5 seconds for station identification on the Orioles 87 Baseball Network.
WMAR-TV, Baltimore, your station for the 1988 Summer Olympics.
Gino Petrelli